Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, August 16th. I'm Gary Stevens. Open line tomorrow morning on the program. We will have Wellspring following the 11 o'clock news block. But on this third Thursday of the month, our 10:30 segment deals with Holland City Hall. Normally, before the beginning of this year would be a chat with the sitting mayor, but Nathan Bocks, one of the things that he wanted to do is to spread out this opportunity to give all members of the city council a chance to chat with you on Talk of the Town. Now, Nikki Ehrenhorst was scheduled to be with us today, but a scheduling change, and Mayor Nathan Bocks is on the other end of our Zoom connection. Good morning, Nathan. Welcome aboard.
Good morning. Good to talk to you again.
Glad you are with us during this time. And of course, if you have a question for Nathan, we'll take it on the old-fashioned phone line at 395-1450, 395-1450. Before we talk about the COVID-19 situation specifically, we did get a question posed to you and actually posed to City Hall concerning leaf collections, the twice a year leaf collections, and whether or not it is still going on, because this person's neighborhood does not have storms or gutters, but the leaves are still out there. Are crews still going to collect them?
Crews are, and they're actually out collecting them right now. So two things. One is if they've already come through your neighborhood, which they have with my neighborhood here at my office, but they haven't in the neighborhood yet at my home. If they've come through your neighborhood already, please do not put anything more out at the curb, because we're not going to be coming by a second time. So if they've come through, we're done there. If they haven't come through your neighborhood yet, the crews are working diligently with that. This has been a big year for leaf pickup. I think anybody who's driven around town, definitely all of the city employees that are working diligently with that, have noticed that there are more leaves and more brush out at the curbs than there has ever been. And so they're working very hard at that, but not all of our city employees are out and working on the job. Some are working from home. So we've got a slightly smaller crew that's doing the pickup this year. But so it's going to take a little bit more time because of that. And it's also going to take a little bit more time because, frankly, there's just so much that's out there this year.
Again, if you have a question for Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks, we'll take it at 395-1450, 395-1450. Meeting last night, and some of the things have to be changed as scheduling continues to be an issue due to the governor's stay home, stay safe executive order. One of those issues, and correct me or clarify this, please, deals with the first business meeting in May under the city charter. The city has to have a budget passed at that meeting. Is that still a go? Has that changed? Explain a little bit, please.
Sure. I do think that that's still a go. There was conversation last night about that. And if folks watched the meeting last night, there may have been a little bit of confusion because we had talked initially about a May 6th meeting. We've got a local state of emergency that is in place. As a mayor, I have the ability to declare a local state of emergency that gives the city manager and myself a little bit more flexibility in dealing with city ordinances. But I've only got the ability to be able to put that in place for 7 days. So last time city council met, we asked city council to extend that, and we looked toward extending that to what we were thinking was going to be the first meeting, the first regular meeting in May, which would be May 6th. And Councilman Mike Trethewey reminded us that typically May 6th is in the middle of tulip time, and so we don't normally have our May 6th meeting. So we talked about having a special meeting on May 6th in order to be able to look at potentially extending that local state of emergency a little bit longer. Last night we talked about saying, well, let's not have a special meeting on May 6th. Let's go back to when we were going to normally have our first regular meeting in May, which was going to be May 13th. City charter does require that the city council pass a budget, and we're in that budgeting process right now. We have a proposed budget that we received this past week from the city manager's office. As council, we are currently going through that budget. We are compiling questions. We're asking questions of city manager because of COVID-19 and our concern about meeting in face-to-face too many times. We don't want to put city staff in any more danger than necessary. We don't want to put council members in any more danger than necessary, but we do still want to meet face to face. We're looking at a new way of being able to do that review process that'll be happening between now and May 13. And then the goal is that on May 13, we do actually put that budget, we do actually vote on that budget. Question was raised, and I think this is where that comes from. Question was raised to the city attorney last night is, do we absolutely positively have to vote on the budget on May 13? And the city attorney said, hey, you're in uncharted territory here. And the emergency order language says that we have the ability to be flexible with city ordinances and with city rules. And his interpretation is that we could theoretically be flexible with the rule that says it has to be that first meeting in May. So there's that possibility that's there, but I think that the vast majority of council says we want to get that budget in place. We want to make sure that we've got staff being able to work on that and being able to implement that budget.
Again, if you have a question for Nathan Bocks, the Holland Mayor, this is the time to ask it at 395-1450, 395-1450. Holland is one of the few municipalities that still had face-to-face meetings, even though there was plenty of separation. The way the Holland City Council chambers are set up allows for the spacing. Is that still going to be moving forward, or is perhaps the time to do it remotely a little bit more prevalent?
We're making that decision week by week, and to this point, we've decided that in weighing and balancing the benefits and the potential costs of face-to-face versus doing it online like we're doing this meeting, that it just makes more sense to do it face-to-face. We have the space. We've got the ability to be able to keep city council members at least 6 feet apart. We've got the staff members that are there 6 feet apart. If somebody from the public decided that they wanted to view the meeting, we've got accommodations that we put in place to be able to allow for members of the public to attend the meeting and still maintain the social distancing rules. Since this has all started, we have not had a member of the public physically come to one of the meetings yet, but we have been receiving public comment through a special email address that we put together, which is publiccomment@cityofholland.com. And then we've accepted those public comments into the meeting. Gary, I know you've been doing a lot of these Zoom meetings. I have as well over the course of the last month and a half. When it's two of us with each of us with good internet connections, this works pretty well. As soon as you start adding more people, and as soon as you start having more sketchy internet connections, it becomes much more difficult to be able to deal with the people and react to the people that are in that meeting. I was actually in a meeting a week or so ago with 9 other people, and all of a sudden my computer decided to quit right at that moment. And so I had to reboot my computer and get back into the meeting, and I was out of the meeting for 3 or 4 minutes. And at that meeting, it wasn't a big deal, but I thought to myself, gee, what if this had happened during a city council meeting? What if we were having a meeting with all of us there and one or more city council members dropped out, or they had a bad internet connection where they froze, or you couldn't hear what it was that they had to say, and it just doesn't make for a good interaction between the council members and council and staff. And so as long as we're able to continue to do it safely, we're going to try to continue to do it face to face. But like I said, we're making that decision meeting by meeting, and as circumstances change, we may change our mind on that.
And if you have a question for Nathan Bocks, he'll be happy to answer it at 395-1450. And you brought up the connectivity thing because we had been talking about the troll issue. Most notably, Kalamazoo City Commission had that problem last month. And, Zoom is trying to correct the problem, but, whatever one man can devise, another man can be able to figure out and cause mayhem and mischief.
Exactly, and we want to try to avoid that. Obviously, we want to be as open and transparent as we can be in our meetings, and we do want the public to be engaged in the meetings. We're encouraging the public to watch from home, but if there's a member of the public that does feel like they need to be there personally, we are making accommodations for that as well. And again, as circumstances change, we're hopeful that we're going to get through this at some point in the relatively near future, and then we'll be able to get back to whatever that new normal looks like.
Now, one thing that has been very good, now obviously people who want to see the council meetings can pick it up through the city's website, and I've done that in the past. But another thing that has been nice is the fact that for those of us who are, subscribers to NBC Universal's product, cable product. We're able to see it even on the east side of the county. We can see the Holland City Council meetings. But another thing, and Peg might be able to pop. Well, she's recording right now, so I apologize for that. YouTube is now available, I believe.
Yes, we do. We've got a YouTube channel that's there. We've had a couple of technical issues with the cable channel because of a bandwidth issue that's actually on the cable company side. So if there are a whole lot of people that are tuned in on the TV side, sometimes that signal breaks up a little bit. We lose sound or we may lose video. So we've said to people, do it on the internet if you can, do it through YouTube if you can, and not only can they watch that meeting live. They can also, we record all of them and they're all out there and available. And if you want to watch any one of the meetings that's taken place, they're all there for you.
Holland took things in-house a few years ago, more than a decade ago. I remember sitting in the back with the one guy basically controlling all of the robotic cameras, and that was ahead of its time. But now, of course, sort of getting ready for what we're going through right now in 2020.
Yeah.
What foresight.
We've got an incredible city staff, and they're very forward thinking with that type of thing. I mean, the technology that we have in city council chambers is far ahead of what I understand is in a lot of city council chambers. So we've got the ability to do that. And it's just, in my mind, one example of how our staff does a great job to serve not only the city council, but also the people of the city of Holland, to make sure that they're getting as much information as they can.
I just keep on mentioning the fact that if you want to join the conversation, you probably have better questions than I do with Nathan Bocks. Call us at 395-1450, 395-1450. You mentioned the spending plan, the proposed budget for fiscal 2021 that'll be voted on next month. We can definitely say it'll be voted on next month by, well, I don't want to use the word definitely, but we can certainly say that. Without going too much into the document, and probably you haven't had a chance to go deep into it, but how important is to get this spending plan in place with some uncertainty of it, not only because the state budget is not in place, but because revenues are probably going to be down a little bit because of what we're going through right now, and expenditures might be going up.
It is. I've had the opportunity to take a look at the budget and also be involved in discussions with the city manager, the assistant city manager, and staff members. One of the things over the last month is I've spent an awful lot of time in City Hall. So I've been involved in those conversations. So I'm familiar with what's there in the budget. But one thing we want to make sure that the people of Holland understand, and that we talked about last night at the meeting, is this budget was put together and prepared pre-COVID-19. That we've been in this budgeting process for several months now, starting back in January when we did the city council visioning and priority setting meeting. City staff then took what they heard from city council in terms of what our priorities are and what our vision is for the future, and built this budget. And all of that work was done pre-COVID-19. And so now in the time that they're putting together this final document, final proposed document for us to take a look at, the question arose, do we make changes based on COVID-19? And the decision was made to not do that yet at this point. One, because most of that work had already been done, and really also to say, we have absolutely no idea how we should change it based on COVID-19. There's just no good information yet available to us to make smart decisions. So what council's likely to do is take a look at this budget and say, we recognize that there are going to be changes. And there are changes to the budget every year. We make budget amendments every single year in city council. It's done in organizations everywhere. But we fully recognize that we're likely to make more and bigger changes to this budget as the year goes on. Once we know more things about revenue, once we know more things about what kind of additional services might the residents of the city of Holland need based on COVID-19. One of the great things about Holland and the great things about councils in the past and city staff in the past is we are in a very good financial position. We've got a great fund balance. We've got money available that if we need to make changes, we can do that. We're looking right now at keeping the tax rate exactly the same as it has been in the past. We've got a proposed balanced budget. Question is now, what changes are we likely to need to make? And there's just not good information to make those decisions yet. But council will make those decisions as that information becomes available.
Nathan, I want to bring this up as what we'll be normally talking about a little bit this time of year. Every 10 years is the census. And we're getting word that Michigan has been one of the more cooperative states with the census. And hopefully that cooperation has been stemming in Holland.
Yeah, my understanding is not only has Michigan been one of the higher states in terms of participation, but Ottawa County has been a standout in that regard as well, which as a resident, I'm happy to hear that. As an elected official, I'm happy to hear that, because I think that there are a lot of people that don't realize that by getting those numbers out there and showing that the actual numbers of folks that we have here in the community affects tax dollars and programs that are available to us. And so the more people that respond, the more people that get that information in, the better off we're going to be, not only in terms of dollars coming back into the community, but also in the representation that we get in Congress as well. So very important for people to be out there, fill out that information. It's not that hard. I did it myself. I think April 1 was Census Day, whatever Census Day was. I'm a real order and tradition kind of guy, and even though I had the information a couple of days before, I thought I'm going to do it actually on the day of, and it literally is just 9 questions for the person that's in the household. Very easy to do.
Good morning. You're on the line with Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks.
Yeah, I got a question for him. I don't know if this has happened before. The tracks on Pine Avenue and 7th Street there has not been fixed yet. The other mayor was going to get working on it, and it's still not got it fixed yet. Yep,
and that is, and you're not going to like the answer that I'm going to give you. CSX, the train company, is the one that's responsible for that, and the kind of the running joke around City Hall is that there's federal government, there's state government, there's local government, and above all of them is CSX, who makes the decisions on what's going to happen there. We have been trying to put pressure on them to be able to make those changes. We've gotten some promises from them, but we still have not seen that. And that's one of those things that I wish we had the power and we had the authority to make that happen when we wanted to, but we just don't, because they're the ones that have to make that determination and get that on their schedule.
Flat tire or something.
Yeah,
they're good. Yep.
All right, we'll see what we can help you out with. Thank you very much for the call, 395-1450. I hate to, sometimes when I do my traffic updates on WHTC Morning News, CSX is out repairing the train tracks on 57th Street south of Fenville, but we got some issues on Pine. We have some issues on River. Those of us on the east side of the county, we're seeing some issues as well on Cottonwood near Chicago Drive.
Yep.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we'll keep pushing them as much as we can, but ultimately it's up to them as to when they're going to get that on their schedule.
Good morning. You're on the line with Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks.
Yeah, I was just wondering. We have, does the city have to have Xfinity for our cable?
There is a contract that's out there that the city has in regard to cable. I will let you know, one of the things that I'm working on with the BPW, there's an organization or a group that's meeting looking at getting ubiquitous, meaning citywide fiber broadband throughout the city, and that may give us the opportunity then to, if we own the lines, if we own the wires that are there, to be able to have some more flexibility, not only in terms of internet providers, but possibly in terms of TV providers as well. But there's a contract that predates my tenure here with the city in regard to cable providers in the city. I believe there's Xfinity. I believe some folks also have the ability to do AT&T Uverse. But I'm with you. I'm stuck with Xfinity as well, without really many other options.
Yeah, we can't do anything else. That's all we have. We pay $118 a month, and we don't have the highest. There's all these tiers, and I just wondering, can't have Spectrum.
Yeah, one of the things that broadband committee is working on is trying to figure out a way to be able to provide some more flexibility for the residents of Holland.
Okay, good. That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call, 395-1450. And the cable companies, let's put it this way. You can have Comcast, you can have Charter, but not many other alternatives in Michigan because other carriers such as Cox, they got out. Time Warner got out of Michigan, and some of the others, and it's like turf wars. You don't step in our turf, and we won't step in your turf. And yeah, we customers are the ones on the bottom. And we will have Ruth Goddard talking about telecommunications tomorrow on WHTC's Talk of the Town. One more call before we button things up with Nathan Bocks, and you're the caller. Good morning.
Thank you. That lady wouldn't want Charter. They're more expensive than Xfinity. And from what I understand, the internet only, now I'm not talking television, if the city provides it, it was going to be extraordinarily expensive, somewhere in the $60 range or $80 range. And as a homeowner, who can afford that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the numbers that I have seen recently do in the long run are less expensive for a higher level. And one of the things that we've been looking at, especially during the pandemic, is that people are starting to find out they don't have the level of service that they thought they had because all of us are starting to use the internet a whole lot more than they were before. So we're investigating and looking at all of those things and going to try to make a recommendation that's the best thing for everybody in Holland.
Okay, I have one other question. You set up internet at the Civic Center, is that correct?
We did.
Okay. And anybody do you have to have a password to get onto it?
You do not. You can. It's there at the Civic Center, and it's also at the Herrick District Library as well.
Good.
You can go and you can just log on. Yes, we try to provide those Wi-Fi hotspots.
Thank you.
I appreciate the call, 395-1450. With that, Nathan Bocks, we're done for this session of On Talk of the Town. I'm not even going to ask you about this one municipality that's picking up the bills for their electric customers. That's about a municipality of about 20,000. And I said, no, I don't want to say it too loud because people would think Holland BPW could do that. No, they can't do that. But anyway, it's nice to be able to talk about cable instead of COVID-19 a little bit. Nathan, thank you very much for joining us. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks, definitely. Good to be here again.
Thank you very much. That's Nathan Bocks, the City of Holland, on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. CBS News is next with Steve Kathan, followed by WHTC News with Peg McNichol, and then Wellspring from Spectrum Health Zeeland Community Hospital straight ahead.